Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the diDNA Dialogue. My name's Josh, and today we have a very special guest. We have the CEO and co-founder of Pubstack, Loïc Sfiligoi. Loïc, to kick things off, can you share a little bit more about your background in the ad industry?
Thank you very much, Josh, for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here. We created Pubstack with my partner in 2018. So Pubstack is a pretty young company. Actually, this is pretty funny because me and my partner do not come from the media or ad tech industry. We used to work in the cloud industry previously. So we participated in founding a first company named Logmatic, a French startup in 20. So I guess that already understood that I'm French with my accent already. So, so we created, we participated in the creation of Logmatic in 2015. And it was a company specialized in log-level data management. And you know that in the ad tech industry, log-level data is a big topic because ad tech industry is consuming a lot of data, and especially log-level data, because when you serve an advertising campaign, you never serve like 1,000 impressions. You always serve like millions of impressions, millions of clicks, a lot of different business log level data events. So at Logmatic, we were not specialized in ad tech, but we had a lot of customers in ad tech, actually. So we used to work with companies such as Sticky Ads. I don't know if people remember Sticky Ads, which was acquired by Freewheel. And it's pretty funny because now the CEO of Sticky Ads is also an investor of Pubstack. So, so we had this very tech culture in analytics, and we had pretty strong vertical in ad tech. And we said, hey, it seems like there is a business opportunity. And in 2017, Logmatic was acquired by a big American company founded by French people, actually, Datadog, based in New York. And so my business partner and me said, okay, it looks like ad tech is a pretty impressive success for Logmatic because all our biggest customers were ad tech companies, or publishers, or ad tech companies. Okay, so we started to investigate that topic, but we knew almost nothing about the ad tech. So it was like starting from scratch in 2018. And we discovered the Prebid, and we had a few customers at that time that were already using Prebid and all using Logmatic to centralize the logs generated by Prebid. So we identified basically a use case that was replicable across a lot of different customers, and this is how we started Pubstack, basically. So Pubstack was created in 2018, and now we are almost 30 people, mostly based in France. We are opening an office in Germany, in the UK, in Southern Europe. And our mission is to help publishers and monetization agencies to optimize ad revenues based on data analysis and automation, data-driven automation. So this is where we come from with my business partner, basically, Josh.
Very cool. Okay, and before we dive into the Pubstack story a little more and where you sit in the space, I'm curious to hear how you and your partner went from Logmatic and decided on what you were going to do with Pubstack, because there are so many opportunities in ad tech, as you already saw that. What drove you towards creating this data platform and what you're offering through Pubstack versus all these other options, like as an SSP or starting your own exchange?
Yeah, so that's a pretty funny story, because in 2018 with my partner, we had actually we decided to launch a kind of a side project, which was aiming to monetize a smaller website. Okay, so and this is how we started using Prebid. So Pubstack really started on Prebid. So Prebid was kind of our first step in ad tech, basically. So we started to use Prebid, to implement Prebid on the website, to plug a bunch of SSPs and stuff like that. And after a few weeks of usage, we were like, we don't understand what is happening on the web page. there are so many different auction and mechanism happening on the webpage, and we are really flying blind.
Wow.
It was really hard to understand what was happening in the auction when we increased the floor price, what was happening when we decided to change the timeout parameter in the wrapper, what was happening, basically, what was the impact of our action. It was insanely hard to measure. It was, and we said, I guess that we are not the only one flying blind. So we started to talk with a few ex-customers about how they managed the monitoring of Prebid. And in 2018, Prebid was already a big thing, I guess, especially in the US, even more in the US than in Europe, I guess. In 2018, in Europe, Prebid was just starting to have a traction. So I guess that we were a bit late in comparison with the US market on that point. So we decided to use Logmatic, our previous company, to build a dashboard for Prebid. And when we show it to our ex-customers, they said, "Oh, we love it. We are ready to buy it." So in August 2018, we developed like a MVP, a minimum viable product, a very simple one, just the ability to follow all your revenue per SSP in real time, to monitor the timeouts, to measure the bid rate, the bid CPM, and all that complex metrics in one place. And we had like 5 customers in 2 months. So we said, "Oh, there is a thing. We understood something about the market." And this is how it started, basically. So it's I would say a bit of a mix of opportunities, of people we met, of our own experiences by implementing Prebid on the website based on this small project. And this, I guess this is how we started Pubstack, and we had the idea.
Right. No, that's fun. So you basically, like a lot of successful entrepreneurs, identified an issue, and then I think the difference is you got really good feedback early on, and then just ran with it and building up a customer base right away. I'm assuming you primarily started in the EU at first, and then expanded out from there because based on what you were saying on Prebid, the European Union and some of the publishers there are probably trying to figure it out, and you provided an immediate value on, let me clarify what you're seeing on Prebid. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2019 was definitely a crazy year for Pubstack, because in 2019 we almost closed, I would say, 80% of the French market. So between the beginning of 2019 and the end in December 2019, almost, I would say, 90% of the French publisher were working with us, the large one.
That's amazing.
So we made a first fundraising in March 2019, $2 million at that time. And I remember in September 2019, we wanted to go international. So this was my main focus, and we wanted to go fast internationally. So we took a booth at Demexco. Demexco is, for our US friends, one of the biggest event, marketing digital event in Europe. It's based in Germany, and this is insanely expensive to take a booth in Demexco. It can be like $50,000 to have, let's say, 5 square meters. It's very, very expensive. So it was kind of a bold move at the beginning, because the product was very young and the team was like less than 10 people at that time. So we decided to take a booth, and it was kind of a friction with our new investors, because they were like, "Oh, they are spending a lot of money in marketing," and this. So we decided to go big for this event and to bring all the company in Demexco to start developing a pipe, basically, on international market. And I remember that at Demexco, I didn't slept for 3 days maybe, because we had like 30 meetings per day, and at night we were partying with the customers and the prospects and stuff like that, and 3 hours of sleep, and same day Same story for the next day, etc. And we had in the end 80 meetings in 3 days, and that was an awesome experience. And this is really when you feel, this is the aha moment, when you feel that there is traction. You're not struggling to get the meeting, and you are a small team of 6. All the company was at Demexco, so it felt like we were a big company, but actually we're a really small company. And thanks to that event, actually, we the year after, we made 50% of our growth internationally.
Wow.
In the US, in Canada, in Germany, in the UK, in Spain, in Italy. So most of our pipe was made thanks to one event. So 2020, which was the second year of operation of Pubstack, was actually the worst year ever to start the international market expansion. Because you know the story, the COVID and all that stuff. But thanks to Demexco, actually, it was the worst timing to start the international expansion. But it worked in the end pretty well for us, because we already had the pipe thanks to Demexco. So it was a good move. And now, to be fully transparent, 75% of our customers are coming from international market. So this is a totally different story and a totally different company we are building now.
Yeah. Well, now that we are stepping into your third year after some massive success, you all are not going to be hitting the brakes, especially after we've talked outside of this interview today. What is, I guess, the strategy moving forward, and where are you trying to place Pubstack in the publisher's tool belt, right? So I guess 2 questions there.
Yeah. So I would say our mission is fairly simple. So we work with both large publishers and monetization agencies. So I would say that our core market is the sell side company that in-house monetization. Okay, so we work mainly with companies that have the scale in terms of ad revenue to in-house the ad stack, the yield management, ad operation, etc., etc. So this is our core market. There are many analytics tools in the market addressing different needs, addressing different business cases. Some tools are dedicated to centralize the deals, for example. Some tools are specialized in reporting, standard reporting, such as centralizing all the SSP reporting data, etc. On our side, we are really a monitoring tool. So we like to say that we are the data dog of advertising. So our role is not to provide the reporting to the finance team. Our goal is to serve ad operation people, yield managers, and ad tech developers. That's all. Our goal is to provide them with real-time metrics and a lot of granularity in the data. Granularity is really what we focus on. And so by granularity, I mean that we are providing really unique metrics. One of them that will be released in Q4 is the revenue per user, for example. How much revenue do you make with one user? And this is not the kind of metrics you find in a reporting tool, because SSP are not providing this kind of data. The ad server is not providing this kind of data. So real time and granularity is really what differentiates us. And this is made to address monitoring use cases, because in the end, an ad stack is a complex system, a website is a complex system, an inventory is a complex system. So you need to monitor the health of this kind of system by having real-time data and granular data.
Excellent.
Is it a clear answer, Josh?
I'm sorry?
Is it a clear answer, Josh?
That was a very clear answer. I thought that was a very good one, and actually already made me think, when you were talking about the per user revenue metric, it made me immediately think of the first party data and third party cookies and things that are happening with that piece. So I'm curious how that has impacted your conversation with these yield managers, these ad tech developers. Has that changed anything on your side, or are you kind of removed? You're kind of observing the data changes, but it's not directly impacting Pubstack.
Yeah. So of course, it's impacting Pubstack because the programmatic landscape is changing, and we are in charge of modeling the programmatic landscape for publishers. So in the end, it's also impacting Pubstack. So there are a lot of new business cases that we need to address. Let me give you an example. With the end of the third-party cookie, a lot of identification solution popped up in the market. ID5, LiveRamp, Criteo ID. So a lot of different ID solutions appeared in the market. So the solution were basically integrated by publishers on the website. They had to add a lot of new ID solution, and they needed to monitor the solution. Are they well integrated? Are they bringing an uplift? Are they bringing revenue? Which solution should I plug on my website? So this is definitely a new aspect of the ad stack, basically, which wasn't existing a few years ago.
Right.
So it's impacting us in the way that this is our job to model it and to provide the right integration to our publishers, to integrate it to the platform and to give them answer on is it working or not, is it bringing an uplift or not, does it have an impact on my revenue or not, etc. Exactly the same way we do it for a pre-bid connection with an SSP, for example.
Yeah.
So publisher needs transparency, and they need an easy way to measure things, basically, and to monitor things. So yes, it's definitely impacting us. At the same time, we like to provide a lot of to contribute, I would say, to the industry knowledge by running data analysis. We have a unique position in the market as we have an overview on what is happening. So we know what is happening for each SSP, for each publisher, for each country, for each inventory, etc. So we have kind of a unique positioning, and it can bring a lot of value to our customers. Let me give you an example. When Safari decided, for example, to change the way it managed the privacy, we had the opportunity to create like a massive data analysis on what is the clear impact for a publisher and what are some potential solutions. Mm-hmm. So this is a good way to create, for example, a white paper or a webinar or whatever you can do to share the information, basically. Now we are working on a new topic. So you were talking about first-party data. We are working on a white paper about the link between semantic data and monetization. So everybody talks about first-party data. Is it already impacting monetization? The answer is probably yes. But what is the impact, and how can you measure it, and what can you do to leverage it, basically? So this is the kind of new topics we are starting to address for our publisher. In the first time, this is only like data analysis and studies, and I would say research. Mm-hmm. And we just broadcasted information through IAB or webinars or white papers. But in the end, it would probably come with a few features or reports that will be fully integrated in Pubstack to help our publisher navigate this new complexity.
Yeah, that's going to be extremely helpful. Again, back to what you're saying, the data dog of the ad industry. You are this ultimate data house for a lot of publishers, and it's almost making a lot of this information easier for them to use. And I think that's the biggest piece is you can have plenty of data, but if you have no idea how to actually utilize that, it's not really helpful.
That's exactly. And we like to repeat all the time at the office, and this is even our motto. We are not an analytics tool. We are here to optimize the revenue of our customers. So our mission, when people say that we are a reporting tool, we are not a reporting tool, actually. We're not reporting on your revenue. We are giving data to optimize the revenue, and our customer success team, for example, is incentivized on how we optimize the revenue of our customer. So at the end of the day,
really cool.
We did a great job if we helped our customer make more money, basically. And this is our mission, and our end game is to optimize the revenue per user. This is our only mission in the end of Pubstack. So we are not an analytics tool. We are not a business intelligence tool, basically.
Right.
This is
that's a good note, especially for everybody watching. So for those publishers that are watching, and you've already kind of talked about publishers navigating this industry, I would love to hear some of your advice for these publishers. One or two tips that you think publishers need to hear right now, and this can be about anything, but I'm curious to hear, especially with your industry background, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm the kind of guy that is very obsessed by some topics sometime and really focus on it. And so I will talk about user revenue per user, because this is definitely something I have in mind at the moment, and it's really hard for me to not be focused on this. So my first advice is I like to initiate when I have a coffee with the publisher. I like to make a very quick poll or a kind of survey and ask a very simple question. Do you know your revenue per user? How much revenue you're making with one user? And I'm very surprised how often the answer is no. So I like to say that a lot of publishers are focused on let's say the eCPM. They want to sell their ads with the highest price as possible, and there is other publishers that are really focused on the fill rate. They want to sell everything. So if there is like 20% of unfilled impression, they need to find a backfill option and stuff like that. And then there are some publishers that are really focused on revenue per user. And in my opinion, the most relevant metric, and I'm learning every day in this industry because I'm new in this industry actually, but this is the ultimate metrics to manage the business, in my opinion, because everything depends on the user, the revenue you make per user. For example, the page layout, the advertising pressure you put on the web page, the number of SSP, everything can be translated in the question: are you increasing the revenue per user or not? Which is not the case with the CPM, because sometimes you can increase the CPM but not the revenue per user. So first advice: calculating these metrics. So it can be, for example, by concatening a Google Analytics report and your ad serving report, for example, or you can use Pubstack for this, but you can also concatenate this kind of reports. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense to be really 100% focused on these metrics. And this should be, in my opinion, the number one metric of any monetization teams. This is my first advice. A second one could be about a general trend we see in the industry on the sell side. The sell side is becoming more and more complex from a technical perspective, I would say. So things are moving fast. I mean, if there is only one thing that didn't change in the ad tech industry, this is actually the inherent change. So I mean the constant change of the industry. So the industry is really changing fast, and it's becoming more and more complex from a technical perspective. You can talk about Preview, the programmatic. You can talk about privacy, CCPA, GDPR, e-privacy. You can talk about the end of the third-party cookie. So all these big changes are basically translated in more processes and more components to monitor, maintain, integrate on the website. So it's just basically much more complex than it used to be. And my advice is to really invest in engineers. There are too few engineers in monetization teams, like developers dedicated to monetization, for example. I mean, you never have enough developers to manage your monetization. So investing in tech profiles in monetization teams makes a lot of sense, and we see only too few publishers that made the right decision a few years back, and we always meet publishers that are lacking tech resources. Yeah. So in my opinion, it will be the case for the next few years, and publishers should invest as much as they can in tech resources.
Yeah.
Is it enough too? Or
those are great. It always depends on what you share. And I mean, you could have gotten away with that first piece of advice on revenue per user. I think that's excellent. A great point on engineer as well. I really think that speaks to the complexity of the industry and building that foundation, because as more stuff gets thrown at publishers, it's not just going to be about building out more content on your site. You're going to have the back end done correctly. And that's great advice. So for publishers watching, what is going to be the easiest way for them to get in contact with you and Pubstack?
So I will not I will not give my email address because there is my name in it. So and my name is extremely complex. So
as I do.
So no, you can directly contact me at Loïc, Loic @pubstack.io, and I will be really pleased to continue the conversation.
Perfect. That sounds great. Well, Loïc, thank you for jumping on. For everybody watching today, thank you for stopping in. If you liked the video, go ahead and press like, and of course, visit our site and LinkedIn for any of the other diDNA dialogues. If you have some thoughts on who else you'd like to see on the diDNA dialogue, leave a comment for us. Loïc, thanks again for jumping on today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday.
Thank you so much, Josh. Have a nice day.